Welcome to Healers Talk Healing, the podcast where we gather to explore the art and science of holistic healing, uncovering the secrets to a happier, healthier you. I'm your host, Nina Ganguly, and together we will delve into the intriguing world of holistic healing, delving into the mind-body connection, ancient wisdom, and natural remedies. Get ready for enlightening stories, thought-provoking expert interviews, and practical tips that will empower you to unlock your true potential and embrace a vibrant, balanced life. Whether you're an experienced wellness enthusiast or simply curious about the power of healing, join us on this exhilarating journey as we share the wisdom and insights that can truly transform your life. It's time to embark on a voyage towards a happier, healthier you. So, without further ado, let's dive into the captivating world of Healers Talk Healing. What if the next secret to healing isn't in a pill, but in your next breath? In today's episode of Healers Talk Healing, we meet a woman who spent her life helping others rediscover the most overlooked power within, the breath. Sylvia Adler, affectionately known as the breath instigator, blends science, spirituality, and soul into a healing practice that's as ancient as it is revolutionary. From her early days in Mexico City with a yogi grandfather to her decades of guiding hospice patients through dignified transitions, Sylvia's story is one of depth, grace, and fierce advocacy. She shares how something as simple as functional breathwork can reduce stress, ignite energy, support weight release, and even extend life. This conversation will shift the way you think about healing, from your morning routines to the moments you feel overwhelmed. Whether you're navigating chronic stress, caring for aging parents, or simply seeking a deeper connection to your body, Sylvia brings you back to the basics with wisdom, warmth, and breath. Let's exhale into this powerful conversation. Okay, so I am so excited to have you with us today, Sylvia Adler. As you've written here, the breath instigator. I love that. That's amazing. So I'm so excited to get into this conversation. But the first thing that I always ask every one of our guests is, what does healing mean to you?
Oh my goodness. So you have 10 hours for me, right?
Absolutely.
That's a very convoluted question. My goodness. Way to start. First of all, what is disease, right? So healing can only happen if disease is present. Otherwise, we are in perfect health, right? So healing, as far as I'm concerned, as a holistic healer, integrative nutrition health coach, for me, it's helping a person find the balance, the inner balance between their physical health, their mental health, and their spiritual health. And it all goes together because, yeah, we've been brainwashed daily. You know, you turn on the television and 70 or 80% of the ads are for medicines, right? So if you're not taking a medicine, oh, guess what? You're not going to be able to be this perky person and doing all sorts of things, right? So for me, yes, there is a place and a time for pharmaceutical medicines, but for me, it's really helping people understand that our body was designed to heal itself, right?
Mm.
And every single day we do things to thwart that power that our God gave us, right? And our poor bodies end up in really bad shape because what we eat, what we drink, what we breathe, what we put on our skins, everything. So it's really empowering people with the knowledge that even with small changes that they can make in their daily life, they can definitely get themselves a whole lot closer to being healthy, to being healed. And of course, I mean, what is healing? There's so many different medical issues, right? So let's not even go down that route. But so much. I mean, I don't know if you've ever read the book Molecules of Emotion by
No.
Dr. Candace Pert. I recommend that book immensely because she's a doctor who did a whole lot of studies on how our emotions cause a whole lot of disease.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Right.
Mhm.
So the deeper we go into this and understand that it's not about just taking a pill that is going to mask a symptom and is not going to be taking away the cause of whatever is diseasing your body, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, as I say, if you have 10 hours, I would love to just go into the parts.
I love what you said, that piece about the emotions. And I think we're just starting more awareness. This has always been the case, but there's much more awareness now
Right.
in the world
Yeah.
about how it sits in our body, our grief, our stress, our anger, our sadness, our depression, our anxiety, all of the different things. I mean, it's the topic of the season, I guess I would say, about
Yeah.
how it's so somatic and it's connected. Everything is so connected. I would say in the Western world, I think Eastern philosophies have been talking about this for
For
eons,
thousands of years. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The mind, body, soul, all of that connection that is so important. So I'm glad that you're mentioning it, because I'd like to remind our listeners and our viewers that, when you are looking at healing, yes, there's a specific thing that is happening as a symptom, but let's look at the root cause. And the root cause is not just, your in diabetes, it might not just be your pancreas or the kidneys. It could be something much beyond that. You mentioned the book. I've done some reading about from Louise Hayes about, healing your own body. And you look at, oh, your sinuses are impacted. Okay, well, what's actually behind that? I love that book. I think it's great. So I'm so glad that you brought that that up. So thank you for that. Now we want to get to know a little bit more about you. So could you share your personal journey a little bit? What led you to become an I can say this word, integrative
Integrative.
nutrition health coach and certified breath coach?
So it started back in Mexico, and that is where I was born and raised. I'm from Mexico City. My mom was very deeply into nutrition. I'm
Mm,
67, 68 years old, so this goes along many, many decades. So I was brought up in a home where, as a teenager, nerdy me, I was reading books about nutrition, about what garlic did for you and onion and how to do this. And so that has been part of my journey all along. Um, I had the great fortune of having my maternal grandfather, who was German. He had studied the 5 different types of yoga,
mm,
and he moved in with us when I was 11 or 12, and he lived with us for 7 years. And I had the blessing, truly,
mm.
of him teaching me how to do proper breathing, diaphragmatic breath, different uplifting breaths, all sorts of things that people don't even think about, right? So I was, again, that was just part of my upbringing and all my life. Nina, I've been telling people you need to breathe better. You need to breathe better. It's going to help you with this and that. So that's where it started, and that's always been part of me. Um, Now, as part of what I do, for 11 years, I have been working for a hospice company, OC Hospice, and it's been a blessing of a journey, helping people have peaceful, dignified, pain-free deaths, right? And that's a term that people get so scared, oh, we mustn't talk about death. You know what? We're all born one day. And if there's one thing that is true about all of us, is that one day we're going to depart. And the less you want to talk about it, the more suffering you cause yourself, right?
Oh, Sylvia, you are speaking my language because, uh, there's a time, it's funny, but I just sent out this questionnaire to a bunch of my friends to get some information that I needed for a program that I'm creating. And one of the things that everyone is concerned about it are, so I'm in my mid 50s. I was going to say late, soon to be late, but mid 50s. And one of the things that is coming up for everybody is their aging parents and their concerns and their fears around, their parents' time coming soon. And for a while, because I lost my father a while ago, so it's not something I'm necessarily afraid of, but the thing is that to broach the subject, it seems so touchy, and yet it is a fact. Like, we're all going to go. No one's
Right.
getting out of here alive.
I know, I know. And I mean, my passion has always been teaching people, and I don't want to go into the whole hospice thing, but that's been such a huge part of my life. And I just see how much manipulation and how much people are taken advantage of because they don't know. They don't want to hear about it, so they don't know about hospice. They don't know their rights. So
Mm,
they end up letting someone who doesn't always have their best interest and heart
mm.
guide them the wrong way, right? So I'm always here advocating for it. These are your rights. And anyway, that's for another conversation, and that's another.
You never know, but we should come back and talk about that because we
Let's
have an
do.
we have an aging population. We have the sandwich generation who are taking, we got married a little bit older, so we've got younger kids and aging parents and trying to, manage all of that and work in that. And I think it is an important conversation to have. I've been very blessed to be able to have those conversations with my mom, especially because my father had passed and he always told us what he wanted. But, to have those conversations to say, Mom, well, you know, what do you want? What's going on? This is a part of life. And if we didn't, and this is everywhere in life, if we just removed the fear,
Mm.
removed the fear of what is to come, the impending end result of what is to come, I think we could have better conversations around it. And yes, this is not why we're here today, but it
Right.
doesn't matter. I think it's a conversation to be had at some point.
But you know what? It is in a way part of healing. And people
Mm,
don't get that
right.
because there's so much suffering around the whole death experience that you make it worse by trying to avoid it, right? What you resist persists, they say.
Mhm. Yep.
So you don't want that to happen, but you're actually causing yourself a lot more pain. So why I mentioned this is because I had already started doing some self-care workshops for our staff. And I mean, the level of stress in the hospice world is just
Mm,
beyond belief, right?
can't imagine.
So I would have a monthly workshop, just a self-care, teaching them small little things about nutrition. But I always started with 15 minutes of breath work because
Mhm.
ultimately that is the only thing that would really help them reduce the level of stress, right?
Mhm.
So that is basically how I incorporated it into what I was already doing. Now, as a disclaimer, almost 20 years ago, I joined a company called USANA Health Sciences, and I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they make pharmaceutical grade supplementation,
Okay.
and they were founded by a wonderful scientist who created a whole lot of things. So he's a true scientist. Anyway, that's also another conversation, but it's part of the nutrition thing, which I've been very passionate about all my life.
Mhm.
So I wanted to take it a step further, and someone mentioned the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and that I should get certified as a health coach. I said, okay, let's do it. So that was a year-long certification, and back in 2017, I
Mhm.
got certified as an integrative nutrition health coach. And I was doing my coaching and guiding people to not suffer so much, right? Because that is part of the whole thing. And then the first year of the pandemic, 2020, a friend of mine who had moved to Bali posted, I just became a certified breath coach. And it was like the lights went off. Boop, 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 boop. Oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. Because I've been doing it all along anyway, but this will give me the green light
Credentials.
officially, right?
Yeah.
So I got certified as a breath coach, and that's when I decided, you know what? This is a perfect marriage because ultimately it is the most important thing we do every single day. Hear me, everyone, please.
I love
Because
that. Just look right into the camera and let the people know. And yeah, I
listen
think
to me.
so. Let me
And we
ask
do it
you a
dysfunctionally.
question. Can I ask you a question?
Of course,
You
please. Yeah.
said, because you just said it, that breath work is the single most important thing that we do. But what is something most people misunderstand and overlook about breathing?
Okay. First of all, the whole misunderstanding about breathing is that people who haven't really done breath work, and breath work, by the way, is mindful controlled breathing. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's not so voodoo, willy, woola, walla. I mean, thanks to our autonomic nervous system, we breathe. Otherwise, we would forget and we would pass out.
Mhm.
Uh, Sometimes because we hold our breath incorrectly, we
Mhm.
almost pass out too, but that's another thing. But I think one of the main misunderstandings around breathing is that people think, Nina, it's all about taking deep breaths. And you know what? Deep breaths, properly done, have a function and a reason for being.
Mm.
But ultimately, what is most important is to understand that you need to breathe slower, softly throughout the day. Okay.
Mhm.
Because people think breath work is about throwing yourself on a yoga mat and doing all sorts of weird things. And although there's therapists who do that, and that's not what I do, what
Okay.
I do is functional breathing. Okay. That is my specialty because I want people to understand that you can be standing in line waiting to pay for your groceries and you can be doing your breath work and
Wow.
nobody knows. Yes.
That's incredible. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so basically, what happens if you observe either a baby or an animal while they're sleeping,
Mhm.
how they breathe is how we should all be breathing. Okay, because their stomach goes up and
Mhm.
then it collapses. So basically, they're doing diaphragmatic breathing. And
Okay.
that is basically the basis of deep breaths, right? When
Mhm.
you engage your diaphragm to do proper breathing, because as we grow older, society tells us, oh, you need to stand up straight and tuck your tummy and you need to. So we start constraining that breath and getting ourselves really tight. So we started breathing from here on up and
Mm.
it becomes very shallow breathing. So we end up breathing maybe between 15 and 25 times per minute when it should actually be more like 6 or 7 times per minute.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So we breathe. Do you know how many times we breathe throughout the day?
No clue.
Throw a number out there.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Millions, I think it should be in the millions.
Okay, that's way too many. You would be passed out completely. It's between 20,000 and 30,000 times every single day because we're breathing between 15 and 25 times per minute. So as we learn to do proper mindful breath work, and there is a breath called the coherent breath,
Hmm.
and it's the one that we should all, if there's one thing that I want people to get through here, is that if you become aware of how you're breathing, it all stems from self-awareness, right? Because we breathe and we're not even thinking about
Of
it.
course.
So close your eyes, check in with yourself. How am I breathing? Am I breathing shallow? Does it feel cold? Does it feel warm? Is it going down deep? Just without judgment, just become aware. What am I doing? Okay, now start being the boss of your breath.
Hmm.
Okay,
The
do you
boss of the
like to be
breath.
the boss? Okay, be the boss of your breath.
I do like to be the boss.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So now you start slowing down your breath consciously on purpose to do it very softly, almost imperceptibly. Okay. Again, people think it's no. If throughout the day you train yourself to breathe slowly into a count of 6 and exhale to the count of 6 while you're doing your things, That is how you get closer to the 11,000 times that we should be breathing a day instead of 20 or 30,000 times. And by doing that, you're actually helping your body be better oxygenized. Because what
But
happens,
it
yeah,
feels just in that example, because I did it along with you, it's like there's an immediate bit of slowdown and relaxation.
yes, ma'am.
And if we were all doing that, would we not respond differently to the world in
That's
general?
right. Uh-huh. Thank you. Bingo.
Mhm.
Bingo. So the stress that we are all currently in, and we're not going to go into that whole chaos debacle thing, but we're all truly waking up like that, right?
Hmm.
I and I think one of your questions, so I'm skipping ahead here. One of the routines that I cannot live without
Mm.
is I wake up in the morning, and this is one of the what I teach my clients. I give them a handout so that they have things to follow
Mhm.
after the class. So every morning I say, before you jump out of bed, before you jump out of bed, spend 5, 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever is good for you, doing some breath work, meditation, if you're into meditation, drinking water, because that gets the whole system moving and detoxifying. And that alone will help you start your day on an even keel, as opposed to, oh my gosh, the day's starting and I have this and I have that and blah, 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 blah. So you just mentioned it and you did it what, once or twice?
I
Just
think I
right.
did it once.
Oh, there we go. But it's that whole thing of, so I'm not doing anything extraordinarily difficult. It's just mindfully slowing down how you breathe
Hmm.
slowly through the nose, because there's way too many people who breathe through the mouth, and that is terrible. That is
Okay.
absolutely
Why
terrible.
is that?
Why is, well, I want you to do it with me, okay?
Okay.
So breathe through the nose and feel how it feels, okay? Now open your mouth and breathe.
Oh, yeah, there's a difference.
Big difference, right? So
Yeah.
what happens when we're breathing through the mouth, the air is not getting filtered. We have all these little hairs, right, that filter
Mhm.
the air. It's not getting warmed up, so it goes in and it's cold.
Mm.
Okay, so it's being warmed up so that it arrives in the lungs at the right temperature. It is being, when you breathe through the nose, you're also changing the alkalinity of the air and you're
Oh.
creating nitric oxide. Okay.
Mhm.
Nitric oxide gets created in the nostrils, and that is very important for the proper administration and absorption of the oxygen at a cellular level.
My
Okay,
mind is
so
being blown right now.
and people don't know, right? I mean, we just go through our day, we breathe, blah, 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 however it is that we breathe, and we don't think about it. But
Mm-mm.
the fact is that that is why I keep saying it is the most important thing you do every single day, bar none.
Mm.
Because depending on how you breathe, your cells are going to absorb or not absorb that oxygen.
Mm.
Okay. One thing that also, one of the biggest misconceptions also is that people, I mean, as you breathe oxygen in, it goes to the cells, it gets absorbed, and then the carbon dioxide, that is the effect of that as the oxygen goes in and gets metabolized, etc., then the effect or I lost the word, sorry, but the byproduct
Mm.
of that is carbon dioxide, which then goes back into the lungs and we exhale it, right?
Right.
So people think, oh, carbon dioxide is, they think it's a toxic gas. We need to get it out. They're thinking of the other one, right?
Mm.
Monoxide.
Yes.
Um, but there needs to be a certain amount of carbon dioxide in the blood for the oxygen to actually get absorbed by the cells.
Okay.
Okay. If
Mhm.
there isn't enough carbon dioxide, then you end up being over oxygenized because the oxygen is still going through your body, but it's not being absorbed by the cells.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, how do you produce carbon dioxide? It can be produced when you do intentional breath holds.
Okay.
And another thing, which leads me to the next misconception, is that it's all about taking deep breaths, but people don't think of the exhale. And the magic is in the exhale. I'll
Oh,
repeat, the magic is in the exhale.
tell me what, tell me more.
Tell me more, tell me more. So, and there's a breath that is called the box breath. And
Yep.
it's one of my favorite breaths. Okay. And it was created by a Navy SEAL, I believe, and it's used by the Navy SEALs. And I don't know who else uses it, but it works like magic. So it's one of the ones that I teach my clients, and I say, look, just have it in your toolbox. Anytime you're out there and you start feeling either stressed out, or if you're going into a meeting, or if you have going to the dentist, whatever it is, just go within for 2 or 3 minutes, become aware of your breath, slow down your breath, and do the box breath. So when you do the box breath, which is breathing in diaphragmatically for a count of four,
Okay.
intentionally holding that breath for a count of four,
Hmm.
then exhaling for a count of four, and then holding that exhale for a count of four. In those holds is when you create carbon dioxide. Your blood vessels expand, which allows for more for better circulation of the oxygen, let's say. But that's when you get your carbon dioxide levels to be where they need to be.
Well, thank you for that because I've done box breath many, many times, but I never understood the actual physical advantage for doing it, right? It was, we always, I'm saying I've always done it like at the beginning of a meditation or maybe at the end of a meditation. It's like, okay, let's close off and let's do this. But I just never knew what the benefit was. Not that I didn't think it was beneficial, but to hear that there's an actual physical benefit within your body for the way it's going to heal to use that breath is pretty incredible.
It is incredible. And I mean, when you do 2 or 3 of them, sometimes you might feel a little bit lightheaded, and that's okay. Maybe just take it slower, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but that's a sign that your body is absorbing all that and creating that carbon dioxide and getting what it needs, let's say, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's different types of breaths that I teach. Again, people think that it's only about taking deep breaths. No, there's a whole group of breaths that I teach that you can do every day. So I tell, so when you wake up in the morning, you can do these, and that will get you going. There's a whole group that is calming breaths, and those are the box breath and some other ones that are truly the longer the exhalation,
Mhm.
the more relaxing it is. And then I can go into the vagus nerve and all that. And I tell you, if you have 10 hours for me, I'll be happy
Well, this is what's
talking.
going to have to happen. What's going to have to happen if there is somebody who wants to connect with you more, obviously they can come through the miracles directory portion of our business and get to you. And I will definitely make sure that everyone knows how to get to you. But what is fat? So this question came up in my mind. It has nothing to do with the ones that I sent you ahead of time, but I was thinking about exercise. When you exercise, and you're breathing while you're exercising, and then there's the whole like, okay, your lung capacity and all of that. But when we're exercising and then there's the pull and push, and I'm always getting confused, when do I breathe in, when do I breathe out, when does this all happen? you know it when you were talking, I was starting to think, if I'm not breathing correctly while I'm exercising, am I diminishing the impacts on my muscles
Of
or my
course.
whole body?
Absolutely. And I mean, excuse me, I go with my husband to LA Fitness to help him with his workout. And
Mm-hmm.
I observe, and I can't tell you how many people I see who take a deep breath and then do it's like, oh my gosh, you're causing yourself so much damage. So what you do when you're exercising, you always take a breath before you do the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you're familiar with a perfect workout. It's a little gym for people with 55 on up, and
Mm-mm.
it's very slow resistance training, so you
Okay.
don't hurt yourself, right? So basically, let's suppose I'm doing a preacher's crawl, so it's like, and then when I do the exercise, because then you don't herniate yourself
Mm.
also, right? But as you do that, it helps you find that strength.
Mm.
Okay, so you're I don't know how to explain it, but that's exactly what happens. So when
Okay.
you're exerting the effort,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you're blowing out.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay.
and you only start with two or three cleansing breaths just to get that going, and then sometimes depending on what you're doing, you can also do like a little. And just to throw this in, because a whole lot of people are interested in weight management, right?
Mhm.
So I just had the big fortune of working with a holistic healer friend of mine, and I've released 40 to 43 pounds, and it's taken me about a year, which I love because it's been slow and steady and stays there.
Mhm.
But she had a wonderful speaker who happens to be a professor in Berkeley, I believe, or Stanford, one of the two, I'm not sure. And he explains, do you know what happens to the fat once you lose it? Oh, I lost so much fat. What happens to that?
I don't know.
So people think, oh, you pee it out, right?
Yeah, you
Well,
pee it out or you sweat it out. Like, there's so many things people think the way it goes.
so that's only 20% of it. The other 80% is exhaled out.
No way. I almost swore. No way.
And
Wow.
he goes into the whole, because he's a professor, right? So he's not just someone who decided to claim this.
Mhm.
And he does this TEDx talk, and he explains the chemistry and the physics of this. I mean, it's mind blowing because you're thinking, oh my goodness. So that is why breathing is also so important when you're trying to lose weight or release weight or however you want to say it, right?
There was a long time ago, a while ago. I remember, now that you're saying this, my memory is being jogged a little bit. I remember, could have been probably late 90s, early 2000s, where this was this exercise phenomenon. I'm going to say I didn't really take off the same way, but I remember looking. You remember infomercials back in the
Yep.
day? They'd come
A
in, and
very thin blonde girl who did the breathing.
yeah, and she's like, "You
I,
can
I
just lose
have her
weight by
stuff.
breathing."
And you know what? There is something to it. It's just that people thought it was a fad, but there's actually something to how you breathe, that it helps to get that working properly.
Sylvia, you're blowing my mind. My mind is being blown because I have a very good friend of mine who is a breathwork coach, but does it a little bit differently. He does in
Sure.
I can't remember the name of the breathwork that he does, but having even this understanding about the way you can just incorporate something very simple, like when
Yeah.
you're standing in line or when you're working at your desk or most of us are sitting at our desks all day and
Yep.
being able to in those stressful moments just like okay just take it, you can still work, you can still take it, you can still do everything that you need to do, but coming from a place of how I felt when I just slowed my breath down to get the work done in a way that's not, then the reason I'm saying this, I'm a little fragmented, but it's like, imagine you've spent your day working like that, and then you're done your day and you come home and there's no need to de-stress. I when I was a mother of young children, the first thing that happens when you step your foot through the door is, Mom, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? And you're just thinking, everybody be quiet. Like, just stop talking. I
Yeah.
need, I need time before I can move into this next zone.
Yeah. And sorry to interrupt you. I just suddenly thought I didn't finish when I was telling you there's different breaths that I teach.
Right, right, right.
The everyday breath and there's a calming breath, but there's a whole group called uplifting breaths.
Mm,
And those are different breaths for getting your energy going.
mhm.
So, calming breath is a longer, extended exhale. The
Okay.
uplifting is the other way around.
A
It's a
shorter.
longer inhale and a short exhale. So, one of them is, for instance, you start like this,
Okay.
and as you breathe in, you're going to pull your hands all the way up and together like this.
Mhm. Oh, okay.
You do 20 or 30 of them, and it's like, whoa, okay,
Yep.
you felt it, and you
Yes.
only did 4 or 5.
Yep.
So those are uplifting breaths. And then there's natural urges. People don't understand that yawning and sighing are also part of the respiration movement. So instead of stifling a yawn, yeah, cover your mouth or whatever, but allow yourself to yawn. And how do you feel after you take a really deep yawn? It's like, oh, wonderful, right?
Hmm.
And when you sigh, again, I mean, all of these things that society has told us are rude or whatever, I teach my clients sigh on purpose. And just stand up and shake it out. And whenever you start feeling stressed, and just that whole movement of energy, and then do a couple of box breaths, and it resets you. So
And
it
it's
doesn't have to be complicated. We into this mindset that everything has to be either expensive or complicated. We were born with this. We have just lost our way and have lost the knack for how to breathe intentionally and properly throughout the day. Not
uh,
just, oh, people tell me I don't have time to breathe. It's like, did you just say that? Oh my gosh.
love your passion for this. And there's something that you said was, I was just going to say the same thing. It costs no money and you've got to do it anyway.
Right. So learn
There's
to
no
do it
choice.
properly. Yep. Yep.
You know, it's it's beautiful, what you're sharing. And I know that you said you're also how do you marry both the breath work and your integrative nutritional coaching?
Coaching. Because I mean, they're all integrated. They're all part of the thing. You see, with IAN, the Institute for Nutrition, Integrative Nutrition, what they teach is that there's primary foods and secondary foods. And we
Okay.
think, okay, primary foods are what we eat. No, those are secondary foods, and they're very important. It's learning how to eat properly, etc. I teach people how to read labels. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when people didn't want to get the vaccine because they didn't know what was in it. And then I hold a little box of processed food. Okay, read all the ingredients. What is this? I don't know. So you're telling me that you don't know what you're eating, but you'll buy it because it's in a box. So you trust that whoever made it has your best interest at heart.
Mm.
So it's truly those, that's part of the secondary foods, right? Learning how to eat healthily and more in tune with what we are meant to give our body.
Mm.
Primary foods are, there's like 12 different points. It's your exercise, it's your sleep, it's your hydration, it's your finances. I mean, there's 12 different life areas that I help my clients visit or revisit. Okay, so which one of these are you having an issue with?
Mm.
When did it start? And if I may just quickly mention, I mean, one of my favorite, I have two very particular cases that I just absolutely love. And one of them was, I think she was my first client as an integrative nutrition health coach. This poor lady, she used to work at OC Hospice, and she was having the most horrendous level of stress. I mean, she not only was working there, but she owned daycare for kids, and she also had a boarding care for seniors. And at the same time, she was starting to be her master's in something or
Oh
other.
my
So
goodness.
it's like, oh my gosh. And her husband and her daughter were both autistic, high
Oh.
functioning autistic. Yeah. So talk about, oh my gosh, right?
Hmm.
And we met for the first 6 months, and I just guided her through different little steps that she could do every day to make her day less stressful.
Hmm.
And just revisiting all of those. Okay, so what are you doing for Julie right now? Because it's fine that you're doing all of these things, but you know what? Something's going to break here, and you need to do certain things. So I taught her how to breathe. That helped her immensely because she wasn't breathing. She was holding her breath because she was so tense. And after the 6 months, she says, Sylvia, you truly saved my life because I was at the point where I could easily have just gone for a dive and not come up because, I mean, she was just done, right? So that was just proof of how easy it is when we are humble enough to say, you know what, I need help from
Hmm.
someone else. And
Yeah.
that's basically what has been my journey this past year, where even though I'm a health coach, I allowed myself to get up to 204 pounds,
Hmm.
and it was due to prolonged stress. So my husband's been dealing with bone marrow cancer for 19 years now.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you so much. I mean, thank goodness, knock on wood, he's doing okay.
Hmm.
But it's been an ongoing of treatments of this, of that. He had a stem cell transplant at City of Hope. I mean, it's just been pretty intense. Two
Hmm.
years ago, he ended up having a terrible car accident. He was T-boned and rolling over. So that was another added. So I mean, all in all, it's been stress after stress, and suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, this whole thing of cortisol does really happen, right?
Hmm.
So I said, okay, I'm humbling myself and I'm saying I need help. So I connected with my friend Christine, who's a functional nutritionist and yoga therapist, etc. And she's guided me to do some self-care.
Hmm.
And it's been easy because it hasn't been being on a diet. I've learned to do how intermittent fasting really works, and it's phenomenal. But anyway, so coming back to how I incorporate it all, because it cannot be done any other way. I mean, the way I see it, breathwork is part of that integrative nutrition because
Hmm.
it's part of the primary foods that we deal with every single day and affect every cell of our body, right?
I love that what you said. It brought to mind a friend of mine who'd always she was doing these seminars. Like we were doing them together, but one of the things to remember is when you're talking about primary nutrition is yeah, what are you feeding your mind? What are you feeding your soul? Who are you surrounding yourself with? What like
Exactly.
what is happening around not just what you're ingesting food wise, and even that's a whole nother topic we could talk about.
Yep.
That's a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
that we could probably do 15 different podcasts together. But there's this thing about I love that you said that because I had forgotten about that. That there's that. What we what are you what are you ingesting out there? How much news are you watching? What are the
Mhm.
conversations that you're having every day? Is it doom and gloom, or are you talking about things that make you happy, things that give you satisfaction, being part of the solution instead of part of the problem? Just having those different things aside from healthy foods and nutrition and exercise and all of it all. That's why it's called holistic and integrative work.
Exactly.
And we
Exactly.
sometimes forget that
Yep.
we're not segmented beings.
Right. Right. And you know what? I mean, it's just also learning about the miracle
Hmm.
that is our body.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, truly, as I have taken, because I'm still studying and I'm still learning, and I'm learning about this Buteyko breathing system. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Oh.
So it's an amazing, excuse me, he was a Russian doctor, I believe, who lived in the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
And he started doing a whole lot of studies on breathwork and how he could help people with asthma, with COPD, all sorts of pulmonary problems. And that's the one I told you about breathing in and
Mm-hmm.
breathing out slowly. That's the basis of what they teach.
Mm-hmm.
And you've heard, I'm sure, of these deep sea divers that take a breath and they're down there for 10 or 15 minutes on one breath.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how is that even possible? That's the kind of breathing that is taught. So it's again about creating what they call carbon dioxide tolerance.
Mm.
Okay, so they start training you on when you breathe in, take a couple of normal breaths, and then exhale and hold that exhale and see how long you can go before the air hunger comes in and you have to breathe again, right? So the whole purpose is to train yourself to last longer and longer until you can last maybe 2 or 3 minutes,
Mm.
that empty breath, right? And I mean, it's just amazing. There's so much stuff that we don't know. There's another guy, James Nestor. He's also done extensive research
Mm-hmm.
into breath work, and his book is Breath, and it's a fantastic little book. I mean, I just love it. He explains how breathing through the mouth is so terrible. So he and a scientist friend of his decided to do this experiment, checked by a doctor and everything. So for 21 days, they taped their nose so that they could only breathe through the mouth.
Mm.
And every day they got checked, all their vitals and everything. And he says, I mean, we couldn't finish the thing because there were so many markers that were just being affected.
Oh my
And
gosh.
oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it
Most
is
of us do end up sleeping with our mouth open. I've
yeah.
just been seeing, some there are days when I go down the whole TikTok deep hole, and I've seen a lot of people in suggesting as part of the self-care routine for women to tape your mouth. And I was like, oh, so but they talk about it for beauty's sake, so I guess you don't get lines or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, well, okay, lines are going to happen, but wow, just
I've done that for almost 2 years now, I think. I got these little tapes.
mhm.
So I got a tape because I used to snore very loudly.
I do too, apparently.
Okay, and there's two different types of snoring. There's no, nose snoring and throat snoring,
Hmm.
and caused by different things, right? But what happens is when I started taping, I mean, before that, I would wake up 3 or 4 times during the night, Nina, to drink water because my mouth would be so dry.
Hmm.
It would like, take a few sips, go back to sleep. So I started taping my mouth. And the first 2 nights is like, oh my gosh, I woke up in the same position as I went to sleep and I didn't wake up once at night. And now my husband says, well, you still snore, but it's not as, it's more like a purring kind of
It's
sound.
quiet. Interesting.
So
I think,
that really works. But he explains how mouth breathing can be detrimental at such a point that it actually changes the way your bone structure.
oh my gosh,
Yes, I mean I mean it's things like what? And he
my
he
mind is
explains
being
that.
blown once again.
Yeah, I mean he says, for instance, in Europe, people had pretty good teeth and everything, and chewing is so important, right?
Right.
And that's part of the whole thing. When Europe introduced softer foods and they stopped, it was kind of like the upper class kind of thing, these nice soft foods,
Hmm.
their teeth started really decaying and the whole bone structure also started being affected because there wasn't enough proper chewing. And I mean, it's just phenomenal. It's like, wow, who would have thought, right?
No, I don't know anyone who would have really thought about that. And who thought to study that? That's crazy. I guess because they saw that change and then to look at what's actually impacting the change. I love talking about this stuff. I could talk with you for hours and hours and hours.
Thank
But
you.
I know you can't live without breathing. None of us can. And I know that there's There's, a lot of things that you do, but what is the one wellness ritual aside from the breath work that you can't live without?
Starting my day with hot water and lime juice or
Ooh.
lemon juice. I have a lime tree, so I have lime juice, but it's something that I started doing, I think, about 20 years ago. My mother used to do it, and it's an old Japanese tradition, I guess, that they do. And first thing in the morning, a lot of people go and start their day with coffee. That's a terrible thing because you're immediately making your system acidic, which
Mm.
is illness sprouts. So
Hmm.
if we keep our body alkaline, you're better chances of being healthy than if you're acidic. Okay. So cancer can only feed in an acidic terrain, just putting that out there.
Okay.
Yeah. So starting your day first thing with a tall glass, 2 cups, or however much you can muster. I usually do a really, really long one. And I warm it up and I put some lime juice and I drink that slowly. I don't gulp it down. And then, I mean, I've been doing this intermittent fasting for a year, and it's like my body said, thank you. You're finally doing what I need, because that
Mm.
gives the body a chance to rest.
Mm.
Throughout the day, digesting apparently is one of the things that takes the most energy from the body.
Mm. I've heard the same
If you're
thing.
eating every 2 hours or constantly eating heavy things, no wonder you feel tired throughout the day because your body is digesting and you're trying to do other things, right?
Hmm.
So for me, just starting the day with hot water and lime juice can help you even deal with constipation. A lot of people who are constipated, they start doing this, and it's like, oh goodness, that's working like a charm because it gets the body circulating. My dad, bless his heart, he died in 1996. He was someone who hardly ever drank water. And I never understood it because I was born with a glass of water in my hand. I mean, for me, water and avocados are my two my two things. But he died in 96, and when I read the death
The
what's
autopsy
it, not autopsy, but the document, the death
certificate.
certificate, thank you. See a moment. Now the death certificate, it actually said cause of death, chronic dehydration.
Oh my goodness.
And I mean, I truly, that was my reaction. Is like, what? And it's like, well, of course it makes sense. He never drank water. All he drank was juices or his milk or his coffee or whatever. But water was just not part of his thing. And it's like, wow, oh my gosh, okay, there
Hmm.
goes that.
So much that has been unpacked in this conversation we've had today. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Sylvia,
Thank you,
this has
Nina.
been incredible. My mind has been blown. I'm going to have to go back and literally I'm going to read our conversation because so I can take it all in. But there's so much I've learned today to walk away. What I'm walking away with in our conversation is the slowing and calming of breath because even as I was preparing for this, there's that, oh, this is a new person I'm talking to. The nerves can get in the way, you know, all of the things that happen during our day, but the ability to stay more calm and deal with
Yep.
life as it comes. And I'm also a perimenopausal woman, so calm is not in my repertoire right now.
It
And
can be, sister.
right.
It can be.
And just learning and walking through all of that. Thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I'm hoping that our listeners dive in, comment on what they've learned and taken away. And once again, if they want to connect with you, come to our site. You are listed there on our site. You can connect with Sylvia on miraclesdirectory.com under services. Type her name in, you will find her, and listen in and give us some feedback. We want to know, what did you like? What questions do you have? maybe we can send them off to you, Sylvia, and you can answer them for us.
Thank you. I would love that.
I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
And I'm so grateful for your time and for allowing me to just, because once I get going, girl, I cannot stop. It's like, okay, rein it in.
That is the way it needs to be. Take care.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for joining us today on Healers Talk Healing. We hope you've been inspired and empowered on your holistic healing journey. If you've enjoyed today's episode and want to continue learning and growing with us, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, and review our podcast. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, healing is a lifelong journey, and you have the power to transform your life in profound ways. Stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop believing in your own capacity for healing.